Welcome back, Beacon of Light. Thank you for joining me here on Nourishment Beacon Field. And we're going to be talking about why it's important to be spiritually awakened, and specifically in God. But more in general for this video is more on the benefits and why it's important to be spiritually awakened versus not. And so hopefully you'll be able to understand what I'll be going through. And I know a lot of you worship in different aspects of religion, and that will be going the next video. So anyways, let's start with why spirituality. Duality. And we're going to go in the angle of personal transformation of one's inner growth, inner world, that the personal angle of it, because as you're spiritually awakened, you're able to process more internal of what you're going through, and those are your emotions, and you have a better clarity of where you're at. um, and in having that clarity, you're able to really distinguish and really understand where you're at in the emotional, um, let's see, wheel of your lower mind, and really moving out from that old aspect of who you are and moving into the new, and that new frame, mind, body, and soul, and the thinking, the feeling, and doing process. And in doing that, you're able to really understand where you're at in life, like how you've been up in the upbringing process, and in society, the conditioning angle of it, how you're like perceived and behave in certain ways of how you want or feel like the need to fit into society. And so, in that emotional clarity of understanding your inner world, you're able to really release the conditioning part. Um, you're releasing the conditioned part within you that's programmed of who you're really not, and you're discovering and how to move into that higher mind. Conditioning. And then in that emotional aspect and the releasing process, you're able to really discover who you are, your purpose in life. And so you're tapping into your destiny then, and you're tapping into what you need to do, and really transform. That's why it's the inner personal transformation, and your purpose. You're able to discover your purpose in this angle. Purpose discovery. And so as you're understanding that angle in life of who you need to be in God, in your calling and your passion in life, you're able to really tap in and really continue that process. And from this angle, you start to really go into the next level of understanding that how you really impact those around you, and go into the next level of society and as a planetary citizen. And so that planetary impact. From this angle, you're able to really have this ownership of understanding that you are a stewardshiping what you're doing in life, where you're taking care of your brother and your sister, the work that you're in, the calling, the destiny that you're walking into. So there's this whoops, stewardship angle that you're having, and then it becomes sacred. And And the sacred, is you're activating that within you. Activism. That part is really important because then you're able to tap into the calling that God wants you to be in. So, and the stewardship and the sacred activism, you start walking into this holy, Christ-like way for those who are Christians, and for those who are Christians, they are able to really tap into your purpose in life and activate that calling. And then in that mindset, you have this higher awakening process of this consciousness of a community angle of connecting with other individuals. And so that's is conscious, conscious communities. Because from this angle, you're seeing the bigger picture and it's not just about yourself. In this spiritual awakening, you start seeing that everybody that you're in contact with is actually your family. And so, whoever you're meeting on the street, you're doing that and caring for them and realize that they are part of that spiritual family. And so, if you're meeting a stranger, you're able to connect with them on this personal level and just connect with them like a family member versus a stranger. Even though you haven't met them before, you have this inner knowing and you have this connection with them and this soul connection, and you're bridging into these other memories also and other angles of who they are. You're able to tap into downloads of information of who they are. And in that process, as you connect, as you go out into the world and have this higher mindset of connection with the source, with God, you're able to have this healing that takes place within yourself and the individual. So there's this healing process that happens, and that can also be a generational trauma that you can heal from. And what I mean by that is when it comes to individuals, say they've had some kind of trauma within the family, like a uh, toxic parent that isn't able to really understand who they are, and so they pass that on to their children, and then over time the children end up having to walk from that toxicity behavior as well. And I'm sure you can relate because there's a lot of families here on this planet who have a upbringing which is not balanced, and not every family on this planet is perfect. And so, as you continue to heal and tap into the higher mind, body, and soul, and really tune in and get downloads from God information, you're able to have that curse, break it away from it, and really become more this this higher self of who you are. And that's where the purpose, your purpose discovery, you're discovering yourself and realizing that you don't want to be in that state with where you're at in the family environment of what you learned, that you just shift that and become new in the next chapter in your life as an adult in your adulthood. And you're able to release the conditioning process of where your family was stuck in that generational trauma of not being able to heal, where they're just continuing to have that cycle, and how some individuals are just drawn to, say, a spouse or a partner that is toxic, and they don't realize it until they reflect on their family and their upbringing and realize, oh, my partner is actually the same as my parents, and you don't realize it. And over time, you just go into this pattern of continuing to go into these toxic relationships. So, in that healing process, you're able to break that curse or break that pattern within your family line. And so, the next one is as you are learning to understand that transformation within of the your personal growth, and you go into this higher mindset of this planetary level, that you're actually tapping into your cosmic mind. Your soul is becoming more cosmic in alignment with God, and it's really beautiful when you end up going into that alignment. um oh uh Alignment. And when you have that alignment, you're able to really get closer into the cosmology of the universe and how it works. You're able to get downloads and information that where God really wants you to be. And with that, you're able to discover again your purpose. You're discovering your purpose, and that's your as you're discovering it, you end up embracing who you are as this um, sacred God within the fragment of God that's within you. And that is the embodied divinity. It's more like the sacred soul aspect of who you are, the fragment of God. And And you got to be careful when it comes to the divinity aspect of it. So from in this uh, presentation, I'm talking more about the fragment of God within you. It's not the sovereignty or like the God or goddess that a lot of New Age and the metaphysical angle describe how God is energy, and therefore your energy, and you are in this dance of this divine, um, godly role of presenting and manifesting. So we'll get into other videos also the dangers of manifesting, but right now it's going to be just touching on the point of why I'm using this word and clarifying what I mean from this angle. And so, in being aware and really embracing who you are as this awakened star seed and this old soul, you're able to really recognize all these other synchronicity, synchronicities in life. And that awareness, you're able to see all the serendipities and the alignment of how the universe works with you and gives you guidance and how people follow that. And let's see if I can synchronicity awareness. And it's good to have that awareness because then you're able to understand how the universe works and how the language of God works in your life. So say like so as you grow into this spiritual aspect of touching more into the alignment of the emotions of the spiritual gifts from God, you're able to really discern the path where you need to go. So, like, say the other day, I kept hearing that I needed to go to a thrift store to get some two items that I really didn't want to get on Amazon. And so I just kept hearing it like, I got to get a drop cloth, which I wanted to get blue. And I wanted a t shirt that was blue as well to reflect the background, which is on Amazon, it's a bit pricey when it comes to building your business and when it comes to getting the products that you need to create this presentation. It takes a lot when it comes to the financial aspect of it. And so I wanted to go to this the thrift store, but at the same time I wanted to shop on Amazon. And so you'll start hearing things like that, like say you want to do something, but then you're being pulled in another direction. And so you keep hearing this, go in this direction, not left. And so I ended up, of course, going to the thrift store and ended up finding what I needed. And I had to go to three stores, and within the three stores I would find the drop cloth and the shirt that I was looking for. And so sure enough, that's what I was given, and I was able to see and get the cloth on the second store, and then the shirt on the third store. So it's just little things like that that you, when you're hearing things from God, just go and do it. And if you keep hearing it and you keep running into, like, say, obstacles, and it's not working in that direction where you thought you wanted to, because it's easier, because it's easier to shop online. It's like, you know how it is. It's like, oh, it's right there. Just click away and it gets sent to your home, versus leaving the home and having to drive a distance and go in different locations and find the item. And anyways, so that's just a small example. And so as you're tapping into that type of information from the universe, from God, it's actually tapping into, you're accessing this higher intelligence, the divine mind of God. And so, X says, higher intelligence. And that the higher mind of that consciousness that you're tapping into, sometimes you may think it's yours, and sometimes you may realize it's actually God that's talking to you. And so in other courses, not in these presentations on YouTube, the courses I'll be presenting is more on how to tap into into the mind of God, and how to understand and differentiate your own versus God, and the angel that's talking to you. And in the courses, I'll also be showing you how to have the healing process of what it takes to get there, and to um, really break through those traumas, and how that healing process takes place. And so I'll be presenting some, like, homework on in the courses. And again, it's not going to be on this YouTube platform. It'll be on the website in my business app, where I'll be presenting those courses. And I'll also be having more of a angle of presenting it in a scholarly angle of presenting journals and individuals, and also from doctors that they're not so, like, well known in society. So they're more doctors that are into holistic angles of healing, and I'll be presenting their stories and also their studies. And so it's more like a metaphysical angle of these sources. And anyways, so it'll be like too much to present here on this platform, but this is just a general idea when it comes to the the personal angle of being spiritually awakened. And so from this angle in the inner world, um, you're able to really tap into the five senses and beyond. And so, like, here, you're tapping into the sixth sense, and you're able to really understand where God wants you to be led. And from the emotional level, when it comes to the spiritual aspect of it, there's this uh, ego dissolution, which is just letting go of that pride. There's the ego part of it is that's where like the pride before the fall, and you're shifting in this identity. And again, it goes back to this personal transformation where you're able to really understand who you are emotionally, and letting go of that pride and really shifting into the higher mindset of it. So if you don't like let go of that pride, the lower pride, it really impacts you, and you start end up affecting your choices in life and the individuals that you are connected with in the circles. Say you weren't healed when you were, like all of us, you have, say, carrying some trauma from when you were a child from your parents, and you're not able to really understand that because you're mostly like suppressing those emotions as you continue to move on in life. And so as you're suppressing those emotions and closing it in and closing all that part of you, you aren't really walking your destiny. You're not really understanding who you are, and you think you know who you are, but there's this other angle that is really a higher part of you that the world sees, that God sees. And so anyways, the ego part is really important to really dive into that angle of really healing it, to go into that higher mindset of who you are, your mind, body, and soul. So then you're able to really walk into the thinking and the feeling and the actions that you do will become higher versus lower animalistic behaviors and tendencies that will actually hold you back into your spiritual growth. And as you learn to understand this ego, the lower ego, and understand that you can move and shift out of that as you release the conditioning part of the society and upbringing, you're able to really become more sub, not subjective, but objective to those emotions. And that part, you are becoming that observer consciousness. Mm, observer. And that's where you are actually taking yourself out from the angle of being objective. I think that that's the right word, versus subjective. You're not being, you're not attached to those emotions of who you are, because that's your old self as you transition into this higher mind of who you are, the higher self and your cosmic mind. And so this cosmic alignment is, that's where it's becomes stronger as you let go of the lower ego part of you. And in letting go, you're letting go of these roles, and those again, the roles of the conditioning part of that, of who you are, your old self. um so it's letting go. And those roles again is the lower old habits of who you are, which isn't you, and you realize as you can be a better person, a better brother, a better sister to your brother and sister that you're interacting with. And Yeah, and it's all in alignment. It's all interrelated to what we'll be presenting here. Um, so when it comes to tapping into an alignment, the your cosmic mind, you're able to really have that heightened sensitivity, and that's where the emotions is. It becomes much more magnified. So I and let's see. The emotions as they become magnified and you become more sensitive into understanding your own emotions, you're able to really pick up emotions of other individuals, and you're able to walk into a room without having even met any of the people there and really look at them and see their eyes and their body, that you're able to tap and understand where they're coming from before meeting them, and because you can feel the energy across the room. And that's what it means when it comes to being spiritually awakened, because you are able to have all your senses, your five senses and beyond, open up the circuitry within your mind, body, and soul, of all these other levels of tapping into that higher the higher consciousness and the higher cosmologies of the universe. Your mind ends up being this higher, mm, the your mind becomes more in tuned to the cosmic of who God is, as well as yourself in this star seed cosmic essence of who you are. And so again, that's the emotional resonance. Resonance, because you're able to understand, you're resonating and understanding these different levels of emotions that you have, and you're able to move out of it. Again, it's just a repeat from this side of really releasing the conditioning part, and the emotional resonance is just understanding other individuals with where they're at. You're able to just really tap in. And anyways, and that's all like energy related. It's a energy perception. Perception. And it's like starting to go down. But the energy part of it, you're starting to perceive that because as you're able to move into your higher mind, you're starting to see that it's a perception of who you were, and you're moving out of it to come into your higher mind, and that you're able to have this empathy and intuition again, like when you walk into the room and you're able to understand what's where the individual is at, or the environment that you're in. And so there's a lot of empathy there. um, Whoops. Put it down here. And intuition. The intuition part comes with that cosmic knowing of understanding, tapping into the, the higher mind of God. So with all this, it's because it's a cosmic alignment with where you're at. You become you start to understand the mysticism of life, of the environment, and you start to understand the magic part of life. And so the mystical part, the mystical signs, the mystical signs my left signs. Um, of the cosmology of the universe and the environment that we're living in, you're able to really understand, like, say, as you become more spiritually awakened, the circuits within you and the different levels of the spirits and the souls, levels of Maranta self and the ethers part of your body, you start seeing and understanding your dreams more. So your dreams, they come out more. Um, their symbolism, you're able to understand where it's at and really pinpoint with what needs to happen. So it's just your subconscious obtaining of what happened during the day, and it's moving on into processing it during the nighttime while you're sleeping. But you're able to see those dreams and again the serendipities. So oops. The serendipity part of it. And you're able to really, again, understand how the universe is talking to you. And that is also with the sacred number patterns. Um, and that what I mean by sacred number patterns, it ties in with the serendipities. Like say you're wondering what time it is and you end up seeing that it's 4:44, and that's when the universe is talking to you that the numbers are in alignment with what you're doing. It's just more confirmation from the heavenly realms, where 4:44 you are being protected, and the angels of second midwares, the angels are actually protecting you and giving you a sign that something magical is happening, and to have faith and to not give up hope of the direction where you're going, because the universe is actually backing you up in those process that you're trying to fulfill the projects, the circumstances in life that you're in, or if you're having some kind of a difficulty of a situation that you're in, whether it's a relationship or a situation, living situation, just trust the process that God is going to be guiding you through that, and you'll see that as you start looking at you're going to be able to see the serendipities in life and how life aligns in those patterns. And seeing a pattern, you'll be able to move through life a bit more easier. If you don't say, the more in alignment that you are in God and the more in sync in your destiny, the more in will that you will be in God, you'll be able to really understand that um, the providence of God, and you'll be able to understand how God protects you. And so it's more of just being awakened in that state. And if you're not going to be able to see those patterns in life and the serendipities and whatnot. And so in the process of this personal transformation of the awakening, being spiritually awakened, you will go through that dark night of the soul. So I'll just dark night. Um, a lot of people don't know how to understand that dark night of the soul. It's where the soul within you is actually um the oops, oh well, I'm just like now it starts to look like a star. The soul within you is crying out to walk into that destiny. And it's also like the dying of the ego. The ego part is where you're letting go. When you're not letting go of that, then the soul within is going to continue crying out until you let go, until you become more in alignment with God, with your destiny, and with life. Because when it comes to being spiritually awakened and having that alignment with God, you're going to see a lot of miracles and these serendipities. So if you're not experiencing a miracle a day, it's more of like a stagnancy within oneself in life. And so mainly the closer you get to God and the alignment and the awakening process, you're able to see a lot of miracles. And the miracles should be happening at least a few times a day, if not once. And yeah, and I'll be describing that more in a more in-depth level of the courses that I have, and it'll be presented more on how to really understand that and really see that. So as one heals, as one continues to heal, they'll actually experience more of that, of the serendipities and the miracles that God has provided. And so you're more of like this glide of riding, allowing life to ride you. You're riding through life versus going against it and swimming up the stream, per se, kind of from that angle. And so when you're struggling with that dark night of the soul, you're gonna feel lost. You're gonna feel disoriented. You're gonna feel like you don't belong in this on this world, because for those who are starseed and those who are old souls, we are, you are going to feel really lost in this world, and you're going to feel really discombobulated and just really fragmented and everywhere. And a lot of us are going to feel spacey. And that's what it is when it comes to being a star seed also. Like some people will be called, oh, they're a space cadet, is because their mind is always up there in the clouds and they're not really, they're down here, but their mind is somewhere else in the cosmology of the happenings, workings of the universe. And so again, this part is feeling lost. Um, when you don't let go and go through the process. I mean, backtrack, sorry. Let me rephrase that. When you're in the dark night of the soul, you're going to feel this no matter what. The dark night of the soul is really crucial to go through that process. And that's what a lot of individuals will actually go through if they're not connected to God's will within the and the God's purpose, the blueprint that He's given them. If they're not tapping in and really understanding that destiny, they're going to feel lost, um, lost and just disoriented. Whoops. And that's the disoriented part again, is you're gonna feel as if you don't belong on this planet. The family that you're in, you feel like an orphan. You feel like nobody in the family understands you. So you end up actually reaching out to other individuals who resonate with you more. So your friends, actually, your circle becomes your family. And it's like that for a lot of us when it comes to star seeds and old soul. And um, yeah, and I'll be presenting some other videos on this platform when it comes to the dark night of the soul, like the dangers of just relying on spiritual experiences, and why it's important to understand not to rely on just spiritual experiences to move you to the next level. Anyways, so in this process, it has the ego part, which is dying of the old self. And again, it's when you're discovering your purpose and you're moving out and in this healing process from the understanding what your ego is and your old patterns, you're able to really understand that death of the old self is not you. And so, as you understand that, you're able to move into this higher mindset, the cosmic part of you, where you'll start having more interest of other things in life that you didn't know that was a part of you, or different parts of abilities that you didn't know you had will start to come out. And so that's really crucial when it comes to going through this process because you'll start to have an open perspective mindset of who you are and individuals and people in your life. You'll start cutting ties of friends that don't even benefit with the relationship part angle, the connection. You'll start cutting off ties when it comes to, like, say you'll want to move and and not just cut off ties with friends, but move locations, or you'll want to move to a new job, or move into a new relationship, or not even be in a relationship and really love yourself. It really teaches you a lot. And so this process is actually where God is actually working with you and going through that process, the dying of that old self. And that's where you start seeing the emergency of this new truth that you've discovered to really align in and really walk that and fulfill it. And emergence. Um and that's the new truth. Whoops. It's going further down here. Um anyways, so again, it's all interrelated when it comes to all these things. And so this is more like the physical aspect of it, and this is more the spiritual aspect. And tying in into this bridging these two together, how they're all intertwined and work with one another. You're seeing the cosmic and the human evolution of where your mind is evolving and really tapping into that higher cosmic mind of who you are. And you're able to actually see a bigger picture and what you need to do in life. And when it comes to just connecting with other individuals and following your destiny, you're able to really continue that and follow it, and you'll draw individuals into your path. And so yeah, so that's it when it comes to being spiritually awakened and the importance of why it's good to be spiritually awakened. And so in the next video, I will be presenting why it's important to be spiritually awakened in God and not be connected to other entities and gods of these worlds of the heavenly and the earthly and underworlds gods. Because I know a lot of you, at least like about mm, 80% to 90% of you guys, as a beacon of light, a lot of you do worship other gods. And so this might be really hard for you to hear, but it's the when it comes to the next video. But I really encourage you to really watch it so you can see the angles of the dangers behind it, because I know when it comes to a generational curse, you may feel stuck in continuing to worship that type of religion and that type of gods and the ancestors. But yeah, it's really important. So anyways, again, thank you for joining me here on Earth and Beacon Field. And before closing, I want to invite you on a reflection and to really reflect on where you're at in life, where you're have you discovered yourself if you are in the spiritual transformation of really letting go of understanding your emotions and the circuitry and really releasing those old aspects of you and really seeing how the ego part before the fall, how pride before the fall, have you touched like hopefully you were able to really understand this presentation and you can present your thoughts and your what you discovered and really jot them down below the video. And thank you again for joining me and continue to follow me through these presentations and I can show you the link of those courses when it's that time for you to really join and really take those courses and take a to a deeper level of really having that spiritual growth and awakening and the healing so you can walk into that higher calling and the destiny that God has for you. Thank you again for joining me here and thank you Beacon of Light for just sticking through this whole presentation and it's a really I it's really beautiful how you've gone through this whole time just listening and anyways. So I hope you have a great rest of the day and wherever you are at. And really thank you again for just continuing to evolve with me as we continue to evolve on this channel and this platform. See you soon and have a good day.